welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while since we've done the last episode, actually. To be honest, it's been like a week and a half at least, which we've done 2 episodes. Yeah, we've done 2 episodes a week for quite a bit of time. And now this is the first time that we haven't done it in like a week and a half.
So you guys are slacking.
Oh, it's because we did those three in those 4 days, right?
Well, because we did 3 in one day because it was like past midnight, early morning, late night.
No, we did, technically 3 in one day. Yeah. And then holidays. Today's Boxing Day. So
we're going to go box.
So we're going to go box after this. Georgie versus Joe.
It's going to be fun.
All right.
I got my gloves up there.
As you guys can see, before we get started with the pre-cap, as you guys can see, we have a new guest on the podcast. It's a random guy that we picked up off the street. His name's Thomas.
From the streets.
He was wearing a West Ham jacket, so we were like, this guy probably doesn't know anything, which makes us look a little bit smarter on the podcast. So why not invite him in?
The same as David Moyes.
So Thomas, before we get into the David Moyes, Thomas, just introduce yourself a little bit. Say hello to the people.
Hi, people. I'm Thomas. I love the game. I don't do well with anything other than the banter. So
you're gonna fit right in.
He's here just to tell Javi that he has lost the plot.
Well, Thomas is also one of the people that comments on all our stuff, talking shit.
Love it.
So we finally decided to invite him so he can stand up for himself instead of hiding behind the keyboard, Thomas.
Yes.
So
I mute the conversation as soon as it comes back to me. So
all I know is Javi said Moyes is a tactical genius, and you lost the plot in the comments.
We will get into that.
We will definitely get into that because I'm sure he has a lot to say about that.
When did you say that?
On the live.
Once I explain myself, then it'll make sense.
Genius.
Tactics don't only apply to on the pitch, Georgie. Tactics can apply to multiple things. All right. Off the pitch, there are tactics off the pitch. Tell me, am I wrong? Are they not tactics?
Unai Emery's tactics off the pitch?
Let's relax.
Which ones?
Have you guys heard that? He was allegedly dating 2 people while he was at Arsenal.
Those are tactics, though.
Tactical genius.
Tactical genius.
Maybe that's why.
That's probably
why.
Talking about.
That's probably why he didn't work out at Arsenal.
Yeah. He's doing great at Villa.
All right, so let's get into the pre-cap. So the pre-cap, you guys know, is a segment or it's just a summary of what we're going to talk about before we talk about it. Liverpool just beat West Ham to go top of the table.
Let's relax.
Burnley.
Oh, sorry. Burnley.
Carabao Cup.
Burnley. My bad.
We did beat West Ham 5-1.
Let's relax.
Yeah. Liverpool just beat Burnley to go top of the Prem with a game in hand.
Yep.
They don't have a game in hand.
No, they don't.
Arsenal still have a game in hand. Yeah. Right, sorry. But they're a game ahead of Arsenal. 2 points ahead. So Arsenal does have to get the win if they want to go back to the top of the table. But Liverpool have been looking pretty good. All right, so that's one. We'll talk a little bit again about the predictions for who we think is going to win. I feel like every week we need to see if there's any changes or any adjustments because a few weeks ago we probably would have said Newcastle was a team that for sure was going to get top 4.
Yeah.
And they've been a little...
This morning was a little
sketchy, right?
A little shaky.
We'll talk a little bit about who's going to get the most goals in the calendar year because it's a tight battle and there's a couple people still left in the race.
Are we still counting pens?
Pens technically, they count.
Yeah,
they count.
Goals.
So you got to count them. We have the VAR room segment, which is things that we do, things that we talk about, around the sport that we maybe have missed. So we go back to the VAR room, and then we have a couple conspiracy theories. One conspiracy theory, and then unfortunately, no laws of the game today, boys. I'm sorry. I've run out of ways to stump you guys in the laws of the game. I'm gonna keep looking, but for now, there's no laws of the game today. And then we'll finish off with some fun facts. All right, and then the fun facts is a question this time. It's a little trivia question.
Wow.
Perfect.
So we'll see. So
jam-packed agenda. Thanks, Javi.
With that being said, as you guys know, Georgie on the podcast, Joe on the podcast, the other co-hosts, myself, Coach Javi, and then our new guest Thomas. Who should we start off with in terms of talking about? Should we start off with you, Georgie, because Liverpool just beat Burnley?
Look at him. Look at him. He has his props. Make sure. Can the camera? Is the camera?
The camera, unfortunately,
does it have
put
his
your book
props?
up to the camera so people can see. If you're watching this on YouTube,
This is what you guys need to know. The book, it's all facts about Darwin Núñez in there, okay? The book
tell me
is
it's all.
Can you show the camera?
Yeah, it all talks about his goals throughout.
There we go.
No, I got shout out to Kelly for giving me this as a gift.
Now we're doing shout outs.
Now I'm gonna give her a shout out. But Liverpool win. What is it? What was the final score? 2-0?
2-0.
2-0.
2-0 away at Burnley. Yeah, I was actually pretty worried at 60th minute until the 75th, but overall, good game for Liverpool. A lot of chances, few goals that were disallowed. Good performance all around, so can't complain.
Who scored the winner?
My boy Darwin. the one and only Darwin Núñez.
Who scored after him?
And then Jota comes back from injury. And gets a goal, which it's good to see because we need all the bodies we can get over the festive period for playing so many games in a short period of time. So good to see Jota back.
So with these recent performances, do you think that Liverpool is the number one contender for the Premier League right now?
It's interesting to talk about it because throughout the whole entire season, I've heard people talk about Arsenal, heard people talk about Man City, and Liverpool are always kind of left out. Obviously, I've said Liverpool are going to win. I said it in the podcast.
You said it every year.
I said it every year.
So,
and I'm going to say it every year. So I feel like Liverpool are going under the radar a little bit, even though they're still up there, which I kind of like it. Like, I don't want people to talk about Liverpool, just do their thing, win the games, and then get the points. And then we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I like the way things are going. I like the way they're playing. And, yeah. I know a lot of people panicked. We haven't done a podcast after the Man United game, but people panicked at the 0-0 and said, sell this guy, sell the whole team, get rid of Klopp and all that. So stupid. Makes no sense to me. People are just overreacting. So,
Joe, I know you're probably going to be a little bit biased, as I would be as well, because we're Arsenal fans. But do you think Liverpool actually has a real chance of winning the Premier League over Arsenal and over a Manchester City comeback, which you know is going to happen?
Yeah. I mean, as much as it hurts me to say, honestly, yeah, I think they have a chance to win the league. I mean, they've done it before. They have players who have. It's not like they have a young team. They've been around for run-ins. It's really going to come down to, can Salah, I think, continue to create chances? Can Darwin finish the chances he gets? And then they have to get lucky along the way. I'm excited that there are 3 teams, because it finally, to me, looks like I would be very confident placing a bet that City won't win the league. And that I couldn't say that, obviously, since Pep's really...
Wait. You're saying there's only 3 teams in the title race? Are we going to forget our
No, I wouldn't say...
Villa?
Well, what I'm saying is that there's enough teams in the title race now that I don't want to say it guarantees City won't win, but it's not like last year where all City had to do was outlast Arsenal to win. And they were outlasting a team of young players.
They weren't until the last 10 games, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't like City was up there. City was up there 100%, but City wasn't.
They weren't dominating.
No, by any means.
What I mean, even last season, it didn't feel like Arsenal was going to win the league. As an Arsenal fan, I'm like, man, I'm just waiting for this to kind of fall apart, where now I think there's enough teams that can go out and win it. That puts City in a tough spot, especially since they're getting further and further and further away. To answer your question, do I think Villa have a chance? I want to say no, but every time I keep doubting them, they keep proving me wrong.
Are Villa going to be the Leicester City?
No, because I think there's too many good teams this year. In the year Leicester won, they won because the only other decent team was Arsenal at the time. Because Arsenal finished second that year, and I think Liverpool, City, and Chelsea all had down years. But no, I don't think that Villa will be the Leicester just because there's more teams competing for the title this year. But it'll be... We'll know a lot more after January, I think, based on how signings happen and who sticks around in Europe mid-February.
I just think about it this way as well, is that Arsenal last year, it honestly wasn't up until around this point, really, where people started actually having the conversation of whether Arsenal was going to win the league.
Yeah.
The first 10 weeks of the season, they were like, oh, it's too early. There's no way that they can keep this up. There's no way that they can keep this up. And Arsenal were above everyone else at that point.
They were at a blazing pace, too.
Yeah, exactly. So Aston Villa is doing really well, but they're not doing as well as Arsenal were last year. So I don't think, because even Arsenal wasn't in having this conversation until right now, I don't think Aston Villa really should be in the conversation right now.
But Arsenal was also throwing all of their manpower at the Premier League last year at this point.
That's all we had.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that is true.
So it's like,
now you guys have the Champions League.
Now you have 2 different things.
Right.
Will you weed out sooner, or is it something that maybe the likes of Aston Villa, who doesn't really have a European competition that they're willing to do anything in?
It's an advantage for them for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Thomas,
do you think
really
they could hold consistent throughout this process?
Do you really think Aston Villa has a chance, though?
No, I don't. But devil's advocate, says otherwise.
So let me ask you guys this question then: who has a better chance of winning the Premier League right now? Manchester City or Aston Villa?
City.
City, I would
City.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
That would be tough though because West Ham's only knocking on the door.
And you guys are only,
Come on.
but you guys are only saying that because it's Manchester City.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. De Bruyne is back in training after the new year. They're going to be.
Well, De Bruyne comes back.
Yeah, that's what they're going to be
massive.
back. Yeah, and it's. I could.
You mean
I
home-
couldn't see
home alone?
when they come back or when City starts winning games again, it forcing Liverpool and Arsenal to find another gear. That's what I'm excited for because if City forces them to find one, it's going to come down to which team can. I think on who's going to win the league or not because you're going to have to start knocking down a lot of wins and doing it consistently week in and week out with Europe in between.
I actually, looking back on it, would you say Arsenal are actually playing? Obviously, they're playing good. You can't play bad and be like challenging. But like for me, looking at Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool are playing their best football at all.
I
Nowhere.
agree with that.
I don't think
Absolutely not.
Liverpool have played their best so far. So for me, looking at it as a Liverpool fan, sitting to where we are now, have like still not have played a clicked per se to where we could be. I'm thinking like, wow, this could actually be Liverpool's year just because we haven't played good and we're here.
So you're saying
You're
that
due.
I feel like
You're due.
Arsenal and Liverpool and City are all in that same
Yeah,
boat.
like-
none of them have really played
Yeah.
great. They've played well and they've won games, but it's not even City 2 years ago. Like they'd go out and 20 minutes into the game's dead.
Yeah.
Liverpool is like that too. But
Well, I'll tell you why I feel like that is because this is the first year in a long time where we haven't had one team just much better than the rest of the teams.
Yeah.
Back in the day, before the whole Manchester City dominance, it was similar to this. Like the Premier League seasons were similar to this, where teams were playing okay. They were playing at sometimes they looked really good. Sometimes they looked just okay. Just like Liverpool, Arsenal, some of these other teams, Tottenham. I mean, you can go through the list of everyone: Tottenham, Manchester United, Newcastle, Brighton, Aston Villa. All of these teams at some point looked really good, and then at some points they've like, wow, they're really bad. So I think this is the first season in a long time in which everything's just balanced out, which is why we feel like nobody's really played well, just because even when Liverpool during the COVID year, Liverpool was playing really, really well, right?
Yeah.
I'd
Miles
say
above
does.
everyone else, right? For the most part. And then Manchester City as well, there's for the most part throughout their last 4 or 5 years have had seasons where they just look like nobody's going to even get close to catching them. So I think that's probably why, because it's a little bit more spread out this year than it has been in the past.
it's fair. It's a good point. Title race is on though.
Yeah. It's fun to watch.
It's a good year. It's a good year to be a general overall Premier League
What is it?
supporter.
Seventh place is sitting 11 points behind number one. This is the best.
Right now,
At January?
13. Right now, 13 points
13
behind.
points?
So Newcastle's
Yep.
in seventh with 29, and then Liverpool's at 42.
excluding today's game because
Yes.
the rest of the week hasn't played yet.
Right. So when they catch up, but yeah, no,
About
because
10
Newcastle's got
10 to
19 games
13.
in. Newcastle's 19 games in already.
He's
Okay.
saying like coming into today because Newcastle ended up getting no
Right.
points. Liverpool got
Yeah.
3, which then made it bigger.
Yeah, so
but
it's close.
So I mean, it's very close. 10 points at the January transfer is, I mean, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's there for the taking. So like,
Yeah,
it is.
like any of those teams,
Drop.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Villa, Spurs, anyone in the top 7, realistically, if they went all out in the January window, which is very hard to do because it's January, nobody wants to sell their players. And if you do sell, it's going to be 2x the amount what they're worth. But if any of those teams say, you know what, this is the year where we need to make the push and go for it because it's there for the taking, it really is there. Somebody buys in 2-3 new players that can make a huge difference. You're set for the rest of the season, which will be 16 games at that point.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of points to be made up. So it's there for the taking.
Those makes me worried about like if City can go spend some money and they can get a good midfielder or two. I
Yeah.
think it changes how the rest of the season plays out, but we'll see.
Yep.
I feel like it's hard for Man City because they've bought everyone that they can buy. Really, like Manchester City's not having a problem of like they're missing a couple spots. Only when Rodgers not playing.
Yeah.
When Rodgers not playing, you can see it's clear that he's not playing.
And De
But-
Bruyne. Or else
Oh,
they'd
and
be
De Bruyne.
walking
Those two,
away
yeah.
with it.
But like I'm saying, it's not like there's a couple teams that you could say if we just bought a really good striker, if we bought a really good center midfielder, like it might make a difference in how we play. Manchester City, I feel like it's less about that, and they just need to be more consistent because they haven't been consistent as much as they have been in the past couple of years.
Pep is about to call you out. Just
But like I'm
he
saying,
did with
if you
Gary
were Pep-
Neville and
Pep gets on
If the board comes up to you,
Yeah.
if the board comes up to you and says like, okay, what do we need to buy? what would Pep say? Really, think about it.
We have everything. That's exactly what he would reply with.
I feel like he'd say like, we don't really need to buy
I
someone.
bet you he'd
maybe.
go for another midfielder or two. I bet. Because if you look at, you need someone to replace Rodri if he can't play.
Yeah.
Like you don't have anyone who can step in and do a somewhat decent job. Even like a Thomas Partey caliber talent there, who's a good holding midfielder. I don't know who's out there who's available.
So if you were Pep, Joe, who would you buy if you needed that position?
You put me on the spot.
Hendo, baby. Come on.
Hendo?
Yeah, why not?
No.
Why
Come
not?
on. Wait, Henderson?
Why not?
Come on.
Barella maybe?
Chill.
Barely will be going.
Yeah, like someone. I'm trying to think of who can fit the technical talent of what you need. The first one that jumps out to me is someone like Barella, but he's undersized. But I think he'd be fine if you put him
Yeah.
out there with someone who's a little bit bigger.
He's still trying to grab Paqueta, so it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that was
that's
one.
a good one.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, he fills those
Yeah.
gaps.
I think for Manchester City, it's just a matter of time before they start bouncing back and getting more consistent results.
Yeah,
Because in the last few years, when they've had a drop like this, they've always been able to kind of get back to their feet, be okay.
yeah.
So
Let's see.
They're also not that. The crazy part, like we say, about how bad they are, they're not that far back. They're
So
eight. They're 8 points back of Liverpool with 2 games in hand. So keep that in mind.
yeah.
2 games.
So
in hand is
realistically,
massive.
Yeah, they win both those
realistically,
games.
two points realistically.
Yeah,
behind.
and that's like
That's
what's
crazy.
If you really think about how, yeah, exactly.
Well, they've got Everton and
Okay,
then they've
okay.
got
Everton's going to beat them
Southampton.
tomorrow. So
Listen, if I was a gambling man,
if I was the gambling man, I'm putting money on Everton tomorrow.
So you are putting
I'm,
money
I'm
on.
at least pulling the draw. If I was a gambling man,
Do you think
Too
so?
easy.
yeah.
City coming off of the
Yep.
Club World Cup win, they're not going to be ready.
Nope.
I don't think they have the discipline through and through.
Wow.
Come on,
Pep,
Thomas.
you hear this, Pep?
Pep is going to come hard at this
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh, good. Listen,
All right, Thomas, you got to remember here.
Oh,
There you go. Nice
There we
and
go.
tight.
There, no one heard the take, anyways. That's good.
Good.
love that. Yeah, I think Pep's got it.
Yeah. Change the mind real quick.
love
huh?
it.
You know what's funny though? Speaking of like we talked about,
If I was a betting man,
what would you bet on?
what just happened right here?
I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
it's about to happen. Give it a second.
So for
Nothing
those,
happened. He does this all the time. He tells us a goal is going to happen, and then nothing happens.
So this is the first podcast we're actually watching a game in the background. We're watching Manchester United versus Aston
oh,
Villa.
it must be nice.
So Georgie
And
unfortunately.
he's the one,
Georgie's back
we're watching it. He's the one updating us of what's happening.
But speaking of teams, like you talk about Liverpool kind of going under the radar. This team hasn't gone under the radar, but they're in a much better spot than you would guess if you didn't know exactly where they were at. Tottenham is sitting in 4th place right now,
Yeah.
above Manchester City.
yeah.
Yeah.
With
Tottenham's also
with
fallen
one
off.
game in hand, behind Liverpool and Aston Villa. I know they've fallen off, but you'd think right now they'd be in like 7th place with how far they've fallen off, or the results that they've been getting recently.
But I mean,
No, because
They
I
were
don't think
so-
we
they were
should
doing
be at
so well.
6th.
yeah.
I don't think that we should be at 6th, but somehow we're there.
By we, Thomas means West Ham,
Come on, you Irons.
because
It's insane because
Dude, we are
Imagine-
far behind here.
imagine Liverpool, Villa, Arsenal, and Spurs finished top 4, no Man City. Just imagine that.
It's bringing it back to its glory days, if you will.
and there's the goal that we were talking about. Manchester United 1,
Game on.
Aston Villa 2.
If I was a betting man, oh wait, I already put that
If
bet.
I was a betting man, I would say 4-1 Aston Villa.
Listen, I already
It wouldn't surprise me.
I put that bet already.
would.
So
All right, so Thomas, you've been a happy man this season for the most part. Honestly, West Ham right now in 6th place.
no,
I've been a
know.
happy man with the results.
I see where this is going. Go on.
I know,
will
no,
get
no.
it. Let's get into it.
I know there's nothing.
Let's
not-
just
I'm not trying to
let's just get
start
to the
anything.
chase.
Just say the name.
Let's
say
just
the name.
cut to the chase. Javi said on a live TikTok the other day when we were live, he said, David Moyes is a tactical
Tactical what genius? I think you
Tactical
said?
genius.
tactical genius.
Wow.
I will
I think that's what he
explain.
said.
No goal.
I will explain my
No goal?
decision.
Yeah.
Is it offsides?
Yeah.
It's offsides.
So here's why I think
4 yards.
David
offside.
Moyes is a tactical genius.
Okay.
Right before he played against Manchester United, right before they
Yes.
played against Manchester United, they asked him about like where Manchester United currently is and if they're going to get back into the
PR is
top
different.
and all that.
PR is
no,
different.
all I'm saying is that he praised them a lot. He was like, "Oh yeah, they're a great team. They're going to get back to their winning ways. I think Ten Hag should be the guy to do it, and I think it's just a matter of time before Manchester United get back." So he's
He didn't facilitate.
He played
anything.
mind games.
You're reading.
He's playing
into
mind
this.
games.
No.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
playing mind games.
But
That's not tactics. Well, first of all, that's not tactics. They're sort of
Oh, it's tactics off the
Tactics
pitch.
is what you do on the
Tactics
pitch.
off the pitch.
Tactics is-
He's like, yeah,
Tactics
you
off
guys
the
are great.
pitch is
He was
like-
about to give him a guard of
That's
honor
more-
before the game started, and then he goes and then he whoops him. What was the final score? 2-0?
But like what?
2-0.
I feel like
And it was a good
most
performance.
managers say the other team is doing good, and
Yeah.
they have to respect their
I know,
manager.
of course.
But
of course.
also,
all I'm saying is
at
that it's
no
just kind of a
point-
little. There's a little bit of.
Well, and he was also there, so like he has to like respect them somehow.
All I'm saying is the technical genius.
David Moyes is trying to save his career, not his job with West Ham, but his career, right? So he is absolutely going to praise every manager that comes up that he has to face against. He's not trying to create some kind of identity that he doesn't believe in. He's just literally saving face every time. So when this job opens up at Man U, he can go back and be like, hey, this is my second go around
Second, yeah.
second go around at Man U, because Ten Hag's not lasting there.
Okay. Let's forget what Javi said about that. How do you feel about David Moyes overall?
I think that he's taken this team as far as he can, and this is not something that like I would think that most people would probably agree on. So David Moyes plays a very particular way. I'm totally good with it because it saved our ass, it saved our bottoms.
You
I don't know.
You can swear. We don't.
Hell
care.
yeah. He's saved us several times. But as far as tactics are concerned, he does not bring us to the next level.
Yep.
He's hit a ceiling, and he needs to relinquish that. And I think he is. I think that he understands that as well. And I think that he's relinquishing that at the end of the season, is what it sounds like. And I'm all about it. I think that I will not have any like ill feelings towards him, but he's done as far as he can do. Let somebody else take over.
Who do you think would be that person?
To be honest, no idea. I would.
Who
love
would
to-
you like?
There you go.
Who would I like?
Yeah.
Oof. Honestly, like you bring on a guy like. Well, see, this is hard because they're all doing well.
In a dream world,
Dream
if you said
world?
who's a perfect candidate, realistic perfect candidate for
I
West
want
Ham,
somebody that's audacious. I want somebody like Big Ange that'll let the boys play, or I want somebody like.
Javi thinks being Ange sucks anyway. So
See, that's terrible.
I'm not a fan of Big
So you get out of here.
He loves
Not a big fan.
David
No,
Moyes
let the boys
tactics over
play.
Big Ange.
Let the boys play. Let the
So-
boys play.
Jose, you want Pat?
I would take Josie. It's one of the only Premier League teams that he hasn't coached that could go to.
just in general.
Yeah, period. But it's one of the only ones that like he probably could do okay with.
okay, let me ask you this: you're a West Ham fan,
No. Yes.
yes?
Sure.
Before the season starts, I tell you you're going to be in sixth place, 4 points behind Man City, with David Moyes, and you would probably tell me you're insane.
Yeah, 100%.
So now you're there
Yeah.
with David Moyes.
and he's Moyes
And you
out.
want him out.
Moyes out.
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
That was my question.
It has nothing to do with Moyes as much as it does, I think. And this is me reading into it. Kevin Nolan, Mark Noble, in a heartbeat, replace him, get him out. The board was on Moyes' side. So all these signings were because the board was on Moyes' side. Let Mark Noble take over the first side. He's been dealing with our academy for 2 years, 3 years now, I think. 2.5 years.
Right, you want Noble to be the head coach
Come
of
on.
West Ham right
Come
now?
on.
Really?
Let him play.
Wow.
Let the
Wow.
boys
That's
play.
interesting.
Let the boys
I mean,
play.
Has he been a head coach?
For no
For a professional
said, right?
club?
no, not at all.
No, 'cause
But
he just
has-
retired. He just
but
retired
has
a couple
dealt
years ago,
with-
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
he
gonna say
has dealt with our academy program for a long time since his retirement, and even before that. I would say let the boys play.
I mean, it can go one of two ways. It can go the way of Arteta and it can turn out phenomenally, or it
Well,
can go
let's
the way
relax
of
there.
what?
Frank Lampard.
Or it can go the way of Lampard
could
and
go
Gerrard
Lampard,
and
yeah.
go
Yeah,
and go
but
the
see-
opposite.
Well,
where
not Gerrard.
Here's the
Gerard's
difference.
already left though. So it's
Like Gerrard, I'm talking in terms
I'm
of
talking
going back
about
to
like
the
Gerrard
teams.
at Villa and
Yeah.
things like that. Like in terms of a player not having the time to really develop as a coach because it's something different.
I'm
Playing
thinking
and
more
coaching
of
are-
like being at the club,
Same
like
club?
legend,
Yeah.
and then going to the team, and then it ruins your legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But you know,
Lampard.
Lampard was the West Ham guy though. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like,
But
what do you
Last
know?
of
He's also
92, baby.
Yeah, but
Come
Lampard
on.
was
He's
really
also
more
like
like
the
Chelsea.
Chelsea's.
Yeah, sure.
Like he's
but-
the like your
but who-
academy.
But
and
who
all, you
let him
brought
go to
up.
Chelsea?
Yeah,
But it's a
Come on.
I can see it both ways because you as a fan, you're like, I think they can step in and do well.
Yeah.
It was one of the things I was really concerned about when Zidane took over at Madrid, and obviously it aged out well and he did fine. But
love Zidane.
you never know how they're going to transition into. I actually thought Lampard and Steven Gerrard would both be great coaches right out of the gates, and I was nervous about Arteta. And
Here's the difference for me.
clearly, I was wrong.
Here's the difference for me is that I think being respected as a club legend and being able to get people to do what you want because of that respect can only go a certain way, and it's a long way. I think it's a big percentage of it. Don't get me wrong, but there comes a time when the players are going to look. There comes a time when the players are going to look to you for actual tactical advice. And if you don't have that because you haven't had the time to develop as a coach, that's where it becomes a problem. Because all these guys who are like, we respect you, we love you because you're a club legend, but now what do we do in this situation against Manchester City, against Arsenal? And if he doesn't have the answers, that's where it goes downhill. The difference between Arteta and someone like Noble and someone like Stevie G and Lampard is that Arteta was under Pep for a few years before he actually made the jump. So that like automatically gives him so much experience because he might not be getting head coaching experience, but he's getting the probably the best mentor that he can possibly get before he takes a job like Arsenal. And you can also see that there's certain people who are meant to be coaches later on in their lives. Like Arteta, you could tell was a guy, even when he was playing, had the brain and the way of thinking, of the way of acting and being of a coach.
Yeah,
Sure.
And then Stevie G is like, I feel like that one is hard because he just didn't get as much experience.
Similar to Arteta with that in terms of like he had the brain of understanding
the
whole field and
He did well at Rangers, but
He did well at
For
Rangers.
doing well at
But
Rangers,
he
like
also
doing
brought
well
in
at Bayern
Defoe
Munich.
and a bunch
I
of
also-
other people that were like helping his case.
Yeah. I think Stevie G was also a better, just obviously he was better than Arteta as a player, but like better naturally, which I generally believe the better you are naturally at a sport or like technically hurts you long term as a coach. And I don't really care about what sport it is. And if you look at a lot of the top coaches right now, like, they played professionally, but they weren't the best players, you know? But
The reason people say that is because they never had to.
Dan Campbell.
yeah, right? Look at Dan Campbell, baby.
Well, the reason people say that is because they never had to learn how to do something because it always just came naturally. So it was like when you have to teach it to someone, you're like, I don't know, I just naturally knew how to do it all the time.
Sure.
Right.
So, but I don't know if I would give someone like Noble the job right away.
That's why it's Kevin Nolan, because Kevin Nolan is the assistant manager currently, right?
Yeah.
If you were to give Noble and Kevin Nolan the same job, I mean, Kevin Nolan was captain for 5-6 years, something like that, and it's like that was through we went down and then came back up stages. So it's like, I mean, he's seen it all, and I think that he's been through it with us long enough, and it's like I'm not trying to shoot him out. I think that. Between the two of them,
you just want him out.
Yeah.
You're not trying to kick him out.
I want to see what the club can actually do. At the end of the day, it's the Academy of Football. Let it develop.
Well, here's what I would say. If I was a board, you always want to take care of your ex-players. Like a lot of these teams give their ex-players jobs afterwards, whether it's like the director of, like the sporting director or whatever. But you do have to have a plan in place. And for me, I would say Noble has to be our head coach at some point because that would be amazing for his legacy, for our legacy. That would be amazing. However,
It's full circle.
yeah, but like Georgie was saying, like you don't want to do it too early to the point where you could actually ruin that legacy a little bit because they're not ready. So in my opinion, I would say, why don't we so Moyes has taken us to a certain point that we feel is the limit. Let's get somebody with a little bit more experience who can take us to that next level. Have them kind of mentor Noble for a little bit, and then eventually, now we're in a good spot. We have a little bit more, either more money, better players, or whatever, and now we can give Mark Noble the opportunity.
So hear me out. We've brought in all these players: Lucas Paqueta, Mohamed Kudus, Alvarez, Edson. Love these players, right? We spent that Declan Rice money better than any other Premier League team has ever spent. $105 million. Period.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys.
Hey, we like to help out.
Came out of
other
my
people.
taxes, actually.
Yeah, but we have the players. We have the lineup. We have two proper teams, right? Two genuinely proper teams, excluding the likes of some of our outside backs. That's
Game on now.
That's not okay. Oh, the first one's called off.
Yeah.
We have that. We have all of the tools, and now we just need some kind of manufacturer to actually use them. and we have those, I think, as well. If we can't use these tools with what we've got to create a product, how are we going to develop anything? We can't actually get to that next stage because we're not producing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just the timing. I think it's
Perhaps.
give one more coach, a really good coach, like,
It's been 3 years.
and then take West Ham just a little. See if you guys can get into the Europa League.
We're already there.
No, I know, but see if you guys can at the end of the
Like,
season
finish the season
finish
and
the
get
season
there,
in the
yeah.
Europa League, and then next year now you're playing European football with a better manager, let's say, and then after that, I think you guys just need to worry about the consistency part. Can we stay here for the next year as well, or are we going to drop back down to 12th or 13th or whatever in the league? Once you do that, I think it's just the timing with bringing in somebody like Mark Noble. But I do think it's awesome to see when you can get someone who's played for the club for such a long time, a club legend, to give them, like you said, come full
He's
circle.
Mr. West Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, what a save! There's Onana.
What if you get Graham Potter?
Ooh,
I don't like it.
You wouldn't like it?
I think I'm
do
coaching
like
against
it.
him next weekend. Youth. What's he doing right now? What's he doing right
That's
now?
the U18s, U17s. What is it? U15 girls.
Yeah, sounds about right.
U16, U17.
I could see being a good one because it's something
Potter
where
would be
you have a
fun.
good enough team that he'd want to go do. Also, too, he wouldn't have the same pressure that he had.
Sure.
But
Nobody expects anything of West Ham.
yeah, and yeah, yeah,
So I'm all on board.
it'll be. I mean, we'll see.
All I'm saying is be careful what you wish for
Yeah,
with Moyes out.
Listen,
Because then Noble takes it and you're all happy. You guys win the
I
first
don't
game.
think Kretinsky could handle it, right? And I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I don't think that he would allow that to happen. He's got, 51% of the
Shares.
board right now? So it's like, at the end of the day, his vote matters.
it's the Evo. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think the reason why he also says that is because we've known Moyes' career, because we've seen some of his coaching. Like, has Moyes ever really taken a team
No.
to the next level?
no,
I mean, depends how you consider
He's
it.
never saved a team proper. He's not Big Sam, but he is 100%.
He saved you guys.
No.
I wouldn't call that saving as much as it was.
saved us. COVID saved us. We brought in Thomas Suchek because David Moyes had the board. We brought in Vladimir Sufal.
Okay, he had the board,
because of
but
the board. That doesn't count as saving us.
what?
Those players absolutely saved
What
us. I'll
position-
give all the credit to
Okay,
Suchek.
wait. What position were you guys in when he took over the second time?
17th.
Okay,
Damn.
and what are you
Really?
guys now?
Sixth. Yeah.
Currently
Uh-huh.
in 6th.
4 points behind Man
That's different.
City.
That's different. No, because when we ended that season,
What did you win the
Second.
Europe?
ended that season in 13th. So it's like it's not.
So you go from relegation battle.
But
to clearly-
once again, because of the board, we were able to spend money. We were able to spend money.
So you give no credit to Moyes at all.
Here, guy. I love David Moyes.
Okay,
I just think that he's
Thomas,
hit his ceiling.
What is it going to take for Moyes to convince you that he should be the next?
You guys won the Europa.
seriously, because what happens if, like, West Ham? Let's say West Ham finished in 5th place next year. Do you really still want him out after
Yes,
that?
100%.
Wow.
What if you guys finish in the fourth?
He can't.
fourth
He
spot?
can't compete in 4 different leagues, or
Is he-
4 different competitions, if you will.
So your mind is set. No matter what happened, you guys can win the Premier League. And
100%.
So-
and I would love if Moyes was like a back
He'd go
burner.
100%. We can win the league and I'm out. He's out.
100%. I will put him on the back burner.
Even if you win
and
the
say
league?
like, I need your advice because still need you to
Look,
convince.
It's
the
like
board that we
breaking
need
up with someone and
players.
we can still be friends.
Yeah. It's
Look.
for sure just not going to work out. Like, there's
Look,
nothing you
look.
can do that will make this work for
all
you.
I'm saying is he took you from 17th. Look, 17th relegation battle.
Sure.
2-3 years later, you guys win the conference
We
league.
were in 4th before he came.
Wait. Okay,
That's all I'm saying. Like
all I'm saying is he was
that
17th.
was under Slaven Bilic, and it was
Look,
fantastic.
From 17th,
fucking fantastic.
you win the Europa League, the conference.
Uh.
Under who? Moyes.
Moyes.
First European
Hey,
trophy?
I don't want to say.
Is it the first ever European trophy for
Yeah.
West Ham?
Yeah,
First
we
ever.
were all dancing. I was dancing.
First
I'm not gonna-
ever European
I'm not gonna
trophy
say I
for
wasn't
West Ham.
celebrating with the guy.
All right.
I said
We're
I
going to
might
have to, I don't think he's
appreciate
changing his mind. We
He's
might have
not,
to move on
he's
from
not.
West Ham.
Yeah,
All right.
please.
40 minutes on
Please.
West Ham.
Agree to disagree.
This man has a bar mitzvah to go
So-
to.
So with that being said, and West Ham's not going to win the title this year.
Chill,
All
guy.
right?
And David
Who-
Moyes is out.
And
If you had to be unbiased right now,
Georgie,
if you were just a general,
That's me.
let's say if you were a
For
West
sure.
Ham supporter or somebody who's not clearly not going to win the Premier League, who would you say right now, by the way that they're playing and where they're at, has the best chance of winning it right now?
Like the league?
Are you still going to say Liverpool?
Yeah.
Which is fair. You can say Liverpool because they're on top of the table right now.
Well, not just that. They haven't played well, but nobody's really played well. I don't know. It's hard. All of them were good. I mean, Villa are doing really well, so I would like them to be able to keep it up. But
I would like to see Newcastle in the league, to be honest.
that's not gonna happen.
Not gonna
West
happen
Ham aren't going to do it.
Newcastle
I would like
has
to
some
see
good moments,
Newcastle.
man. They're just not consistent enough, and
No.
they've been losing.
I
a
would
lot
love
of
The
the
loss
shots.
today
see-
was a huge wake up call for them because normally at least they do well at home, Newcastle, but
Yeah.
so
Alexander Isak.
So are we gonna
JC's
say that
great.
Darwin
Crushing
Nunes
it.
broke Newcastle, or are we just not gonna say that?
We're not going to say anything.
Why
We're
would
not.
you say
Darwin Nunez is banned for at least the next 3 or 4 episodes. The 2 words Darwin Nunez.
Where's
when
that? Can you
put
pass me
together-
that little thing? We should have a Darwin Nunez counter.
Yeah, I know,
Every
right?
and just use that as a Darwin Nunez word counter.
Yeah, Darwin Nunez. We cannot say his name on the podcast for very much longer. We're done with Darwin Nunez for a little bit because it just ends in a 45-minute conversation that gets us nowhere.
Yeah.
Every single time
And
we
then
do
it's
it.
still no. It ends with Georgie giving some stat no one else has seen except for him when
So-
he
For
tweeted.
90
it.
minutes.
I'll tell you what. The Premier League is in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
You can't really make too many predictions because we have no idea what's going to happen by the end of the season. Because right now it's all over the place. It's up in the air. Anybody can win it, which is great. Great as a fan.
Oh, penalty.
Let's talk about the most goals in a calendar year. There's a couple players. So Ronaldo's at 53 with 1 game left. Harry Kane and Mbappe finished with 52. They're done. But Haaland has 50 and he's also got 1 game left. All right. So does Ronaldo stay as the?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he wins the Golden Boot this year. Is he considered part? Is he eligible for the Golden Boot this year, or is that just
Yeah.
Europe?
No, it's everywhere.
When is
I think it's the whole world.
When is the calendar up? Like, what is the calendar? If we're floating off of like a rolling,
It's a calendar.
12,
Is it not a
This,
calendar year?
this
like-
calendar year is what we're talking
so
about. Yeah.
only
So just
2023.
yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole
I didn't know if it was.
Yeah,
rolling
Ronaldo.
or
Knowing
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo, I think he won't let himself not win it.
Yeah.
He's so
He's
competitive.
scoring
with
2
that,
goals
and he's
next
gonna,
year.
Yeah, and he
Love him
will
for
make
it.
he will make sure that he wins that, which is good for him.
And I don't think it's just him. I think his team
Well,
will
he
make sure that he wins it.
Well, they
Yeah.
need it as well.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia needs it.
brace today against Benzema.
Yeah.
Does Haaland have it in himself
No.
to get 5 or 6 goals
Against Everton?
in the
No.
next game? He's done it before. He's actually
I
on the
think
list.
I think
for-
he's got a brace.
He's actually in the list for the most goals scored in a single game in the Champions League, I believe. He's tied with like 3 or 4 other guys.
He's tied with Messi.
With like 5 or 6 goals
5.
or something like that.
Pep pulled him after he tied Messi's.
I thought.
Yeah, that
record,
was
I
interesting.
remember,
Didn't
which I thought
Vardy
was
have like
interesting.
7 or 8 at one point in one?
Yeah,
game?
so
Huh? One
no,
game?
no, not
No?
that much. Not that much.
I thought it was ridiculous.
6 is like the highest for 6 is the highest number of goals scored in like club competition in a single game. There's a couple people with
Who did that?
with
Coach Javi for local football.
Well, if they were counting my Sunday league stats,
Come on.
we'd have different records. All right, I'd be winning the Golden Boot right now
can
over
we
Ronaldo
put those into
at
FIFA?
56.
I don't know who's listening, but
But
Local
yeah,
football?
so Joe mentioned it. He said so. Haaland had
5
Was-
goals this year in the group stage. I forget against who, but
okay, and so Pep subbed him off before he get the 6th. How would you feel if you're Haaland looking to break a record, and the only reason you got subbed off is because your manager said you're not going to do it today, partly because you know he was trying to protect Messi's record?
But do you think that's actually the reason? So is that conspiracy theory?
No, but I mean, as a player, that's what you think.
come on.
yeah, I
Because
mean,
Pep didn't say like, oh yeah, I
I
wanted
think
to
the
keep. I
Premier
wanted to like.
League's scripted.
Oh my word! Here we go.
I would
Save
be
it for
I would
the
be
conspiracy.
frustrated if I was Haaland for sure.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to even have a chance to chase after 6 goals in a Champions League game.
But I don't know. I mean, I know, like when you sub somebody at 2 goals, and they're like, oh, they walk off and they're pissed off. You're winning by 4.
Some of the players don't care. Haaland
Like
cares.
I
think
wouldn't care about stuff like that.
Yeah, but you
you're
were
also
also a
not
central
Haaland.
midfielder. Yeah, who didn't really care
Yeah.
about scoring goals.
who his dream game is 5 touches, 5
Yeah, I
goals.
mean, I guess I'm the wrong person to ask,
me.
but I wouldn't.
we have to beg you to shoot. I thought
I'm that guy.
I mean, I don't know. It's
Mr. Team Player who only swears at his coaches and the other players on his team and
let me
storms
say
off
this,
the field. Exactly.
I was a striker. And in high school, I had a chance of breaking the single season scoring record for my high school, which was at 31. I finished with 27.
Where was that? Chicago?
Yeah, in Illinois.
Yeah.
So Now, here's the thing, though. I'll be honest. There's a couple of teams, especially in high school, that you play that are god-awful teams. Terrible.
That
terrible.
you're going for 6 goals in that game yourself.
Right.
At least.
My coach told me, he's like, I'm not going to let you score more than 3 goals in those games because it's not worth it. Like, for me, it's not. You could easily get 5 or 6 goals in these games. I'm not going to let you do it. For me, the guy who broke the record, or the guy who had the record at 31 goals, scored a bunch of goals, 7 or 8 goals in those games. So for me, I felt like it was a little bit unfair because I was like, okay, at the end of the day, nobody's going to care if I scored 6 goals against this team because I'm going to be the one that has the record. So if it was that easy, anybody would have had the record.
Yeah.
So like, I'd be upset if I was Haaland because it's like, because Pep said the same. Pep was like, well, he's going to do it at some point eventually. It's like, well, why are you going to prevent him from doing it now? So I mean, I would be upset, is what I'm saying.
So, have you guys watched the Bye Bye Barry documentary?
No, not yet.
Barry Sanders?
No.
Nope.
So I'm not gonna like spoil it, but one of the things that he said was every team he ever played on, he could have broke the records, and he asked to be sent off because the records don't mean anything to him. It's a characteristic thing. It's it's personality.
It's like an ego thing, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He was like, I don't need to take somebody else's lifelong goals away from them when I could just
Do it.
keep doing it. I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to keep doing it. First season as a Lion, he could have broke the record, and he was like, well, I'm just not going to do it. So it's like, I see both sides of it, and I appreciate both sides of it because like I never had that opportunity. I had so many assists in high school. Never once did I ever think that I was going to break a goal scoring record, but it could have happened. And then all of a sudden, I see goal scoring, like the points cumulative, and it's like, well, this probably could happen. I was never trying to be subbed off, ever. So I'm on the same page as you. But
Garnacho with a brace. Sorry.
was that really? No, let it be offsides.
There's 10 people. There's 10 people behind him, Thomas.
Yeah, so it's like, I think it's characteristic thing, and it's like I don't know what his feelings were when he should have or when he could have been subbed off. Did he talk about it in the press conference?
No, he didn't. They never really got an interview with Haaland about it.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they did, but he didn't say anything controversial or anything like that.
He seems humble enough because he's so young, right?
Right.
He's young and he's from Northern Europe, so it's like he doesn't belong in the Premier League. I say that very softly. He doesn't belong there, as in like these are a bunch of Spaniards, Italians, Germans playing in this league, and a bunch of English brutes that are playing in this league to like make a point. He's not the guy that they're looking at to score all the goals. Now he is, obviously. But I think that he was like, yeah, I could do this any day in the week. And I think that he's made a strong point by coming off. He could have just said no, Pep, and Pep would have probably been like, you know what? I agree. Whatever.
I'll tell you what. First thing, fun fact. Did you know, this is technically a law of the game. I could have put this in the laws of the game segment, actually, but I don't know how to phrase it. However, did you know that you don't have to come off if you get substituted?
Yeah, it's happened, right?
Yeah. Do you remember when it happened last?
Chelsea.
It just happened this season.
Kepa refused to come off when...
I don't know if it happened this season, but Kepa...
It happened this season.
Was it Kepa?
No, it wasn't this season, but Kepa did do it, yeah.
Kepa did do it.
So
Something
still
happened this season where
goaltender,
somebody didn't want to come off.
Goalkeeper.
I can't remember this season, but Chelsea did it when Kepa, they said they thought he was injured. So then he got up, so they had the backup goalkeeper getting ready. But then the coaches made a decision, like, we're going to sub him off regardless. So they were going to sub him off, and he was like, no. And they waited there for like a minute and a half, and the referee's like, well, if he doesn't want to come off, I can't force him off.
And then he saved the penalties, right? He actually...
I can't remember, but...
Either saved... Yeah, I think he did.
But he did get
saved
disciplined. He could, and that was really super disrespectful to Caballero, who was getting ready to come on. And he's just sitting on their side like, okay, that
But
must have been
also-
awkward.
What
But
a
also,
save.
once again, was it the best result? Like, I mean, it sounds like I'm not familiar with the game.
I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, they won. They
They
won.
won.
They
So
won.
it's like, so did he do his job?
Yeah,
At the
he
end
did
of
his
the
job.
day.
Yeah, but he still got disciplined for it.
Yeah, he did get
The
that.
coach mentioned
which
it.
you don't discipline him. You
But
can
I'll tell you
discipline
what.
him for not coming off.
Yeah, because you're disrespecting the coach.
Disrespecting the coach and the club.
The
Sure.
club looks bad. But I'll tell you what, though. I don't think it's
Now he
selfish
starts
at
for Real
all to
Madrid.
be upset that somebody wants to reach a record. Right?
Yeah.
I think some people could say, well, it's a little bit selfish and individualistic that you want to chase records and stuff like that. I think that's totally fair for players because players have to find a way to motivate themselves.
Sure.
Not everybody gets motivated. Some people get motivated more by the records that they chase than the money that they make. And some people vice versa. Some people would rather make more money. And some people really just want to play the game. And they don't care about records. Like you said, they don't really care or whatever. However, I also think about it the other way is nowadays, every single player, because of social media, because of technology, where we've gotten, every single player is kind of their own product. They try and market themselves to get themselves set up for the rest of their life, for their family, for their after their careers. If you have all of these records, the possibilities are endless with what you want to do after the game, because you know that there's going to be so much money and so much opportunity for you, whether you want to be a pundit, whether you want to be an ambassador, all of these things. So think about all of the people who are pundits now, especially in English football. Like most of them, all of them have had to have minimum some sort of playing experience at the highest level.
Yep.
Like think about a really good pundit right now that's on that didn't play the game or was only playing in League One or whatever. You can't really think of one.
No.
So when you think about that, like every time, like we when we see the CBS crew and Kate Abdo roasts Micah Richards, she roasts him because he doesn't have he never won a Champions League.
He never won anything.
He's
never
still
really
a
won
really good player. And it's
fantastic
great,
player.
but he's sitting next to TT, arguably one of the best ever.
Right.
Well, and then
And Jimmy
Clem
Carragher
Dempsey.
and Clem Dempsey up there. That's true.
So yeah, so just
Right.
think about that.
But Dempsey, one of the obviously the best American, at least in my opinion, ever.
Also,
but-
can we talk about Joe's mustache for a second?
Listen, hold on. This is a conspiracy theory, by the way. This is a conspiracy.
What?
I said this the other day. But hold on, we'll get into it right now. We'll get into it. Actually, we'll forget about the last segment we were just talking about. Conspiracy theory segment. I have a conspiracy. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this anywhere where there's video, TikTok or Instagram, I have a conspiracy about your mustache, Joe. Tell me if
excited
I'm
to
right
hear
or wrong. Your mustache gets longer every single time you come onto this podcast.
We're here every
Is that
day.
is that a conspiracy theory,
That's a
or is that
conspiracy.
just how the human body works? That
No,
hair
no,
grows.
not longer as in like the hairs grow. But what I'm saying is you know how you like cut off the end at some point, right?
Yeah, it's,
You have let this go down further
it's
every
funny.
single time.
It's funny you say that. I haven't like intentionally done that, but I have intentionally when I'm trimming it, like tried not to cut it too high.
Sure.
So unintentionally, I have done exactly what you're
Yes.
saying. So
That was my
yes,
conspiracy.
there's
All I'm saying
there's
is,
truth
I
to
knew
it.
it.
all I'm saying is you're out of Army regulations, so
So I got to trim it a little.
Yeah. But I've noticed that because
what is Army regulations? I can't go under the
can't
lip.
go outside of the lip.
yeah. So I've noticed that because
all
Joe comes on. Obviously, every week I sit
know.
next to Joe, and I've noticed like the first time I was like, okay, he kept his mustache because at some point you had it shaved or something, right?
Yeah, I did. Well, I just put the mustache on put it on like it's just a prop. for
Hey, watch this.
For no, yeah, watch.
But
For
I
November,
noticed,
it's CGI. It's AI.
yeah, because I noticed because I was like, wait a second. It seems like his mustache gets wider and wider. Like the sides just keep going further down and further down every single time. Like next week, he's gonna have the whole thing up until the goatee.
Have you guys seen Kung Fu Panda? The little the guy
Yeah.
that teaches him. He's got his thing just hanging all the way
Little
down here.
mouse.
Yeah, a little
I
mouse.
actually thought at some point I was like, Joe is going to be like, guys, I've been doing this prank on you this whole time to see how long I could grow my mustache or how wide it can get before you guys said something. That's
And
what
see
I
if
thought.
it like got up to like here. Or
That's
something.
what I thought Joe was doing this whole time.
I wish I was that creative.
There's the conspiracy theory segment.
Next time.
All right, so let's move on. So we think Ronaldo's going to hold on back to
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
original where we started. Ronaldo's going to hold on. All right.
Is that where we
Let's move into the VAR room segment. All right, VAR room segment. The things that we missed, we haven't talked about.
Handball.
European Super League, baby. It is back. It is back, and it is a slightly a different format than it was originally, or big difference. Because now they're trying to include more teams. They're trying to add promotion, relegation, all this other stuff. Where before it was the top 12 teams in the world were just going to play in one league all year. Your thoughts on Georgie, Real Madrid and Barcelona are the ones currently backing it, right?
The only ones, yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Every older team has said no, we're against it. So unless Barca and Real Madrid play each other 64 times or whatever in the season, then it's. I mean, personally, what I think about it, it's just a different version of the Champions League. If you think about it, it's like it's people that are not happy with how the Champions League is ran. So they're just including the top teams in every league, just as we are now. And they're just putting them into a league of their own and making their own kind of different adjustments to it.
So right now, like we said, nobody's backing it. Do you think that with the new format, that there is any chance that anybody will want to join, or do you think it's so far past?
You say no one's backing it. It seems like there's some big clubs are backing it. Like I think Juve is.
A lot of the Italian teams are backing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But like Arsenal's not, City's not.
Liverpool's not,
Liverpool's
PSG's not, Dortmund's not, Bayern's not.
And I think they're doing it for the right reasons. I think there are a lot of teams that are backing it.
Yeah.
do you think there's any chance that they can get enough to actually make it a Super League, or do you
No.
think it's
Not
dead?
without the
But
big money clubs. I don't think
that's it, though.
that's the thing.
That's
They
it.
have that once one or two of them tip. If City tips, if Real Madrid tips, if like teams that are doing well in Europe say they'll go, I could see other teams going, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So
Look at like Atletico, Leverkusen, a lot of these other teams that could compete in a European tournament. If they could get on board with another tournament that would bring their club into the limelight or the starlight or whatever,
like a
they
Villa.
yeah,
Yeah.
a Villa, they would absolutely get on board with it.
Right, but then it goes away from being the Super League because the whole point was all of these teams.
Well, they think they're super, so why not?
Right. But the Super League's proposal, from what Fiorentino Perez was describing, where he was saying, like, this is supposed to be for the best clubs in the world and the teams that you want. Like, you don't want to see Bayer Leverkusen playing against Atletico Madrid every
Week, yeah.
every week. The whole point was you're going to get Chelsea, Real Madrid. You're going to get Barcelona versus Inter Milan. You're going to get like all of these top level games week in and week out, which is the huge appeal to it. So now, if you have Arsenal who are out, if you have some German teams who are out, if you have some of the best teams out, is it still the Super League?
No.
And in that case, it's essentially a mix between the Champions and the Europa League,
Yep.
right? It's
Which is
kind of in between.
probably still a better league.
But I think, what I think the problem is that because of the shambles advertising and the way it started
It's
and
already
the way
gone.
that people reacted to it, I think if you continue calling it the Super League, if you continue having anything associated with that,
Yeah.
people are going to say we're not doing this again.
I agree.
I think it's just way too far. You have to market it in a completely different way for.
It shouldn't be the Super League anymore.
No, it should just be
Call-
A League.
Yeah, another league, whatever
then again, it's-
X league is.
But then again, it loses the main factor that made it appealing to those who were interested at the beginning, which was the very, very best teams and the very best teams only.
I think the idea of it to like is just dumb because the reason why those games Anthony and then he turns it over. The reason why those games are dumb the idea of it's dumb is because the reason why these games are so important is because they're so infrequent. That if
Sure.
they happened every week, it's just another week, and then we're always going to be chasing the thing, opposed to just I think sometimes it's all right just to let something that's pretty good
Devil's
be
advocate.
pretty good.
Devil's advocate, kind of, I guess. Different page. The
Is that Hoyland?
International Champions League. Like the International Champions.
Like the Club World Cup?
Hold on
Did
a
you
second.
get it?
Hold on.
He
Did you
placed the
put-
bet.
Did you place a bet? How much you put?
He called it. We called it.
My man.
$10 to win 100.
Maybe,
Cashing out.
Perhaps.
You cash
No,
out
I'm
now?
cashing out. I'm
Perhaps.
not.
What do you
even worried.
What's the cash out now?
92.
Yeah, $10 to win 92. Smart, because it'll probably end in a draw.
Well done, Georgie.
Yeah.
Well done, my friend.
Dude, United, man.
But the International Champions League, it was the same thing.
Yeah, but
So it's
the difference is the International Champions League was United States based, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was like they come to the United
Yeah.
States, and it's preseason though as well.
Yes.
So it's like
You guys gonna go? Do you think the Champions League final will ever be here?
Yes.
they're talking
I
about it.
actually
That's gonna
do think
happen,
so.
I think, in the next.
Champions
I don't know about the
League final?
finals
Yeah, soon.
just yet, but they
I
said
don't know
they
about a
wanted to
final,
host.
but definitely a game. Or
They
two.
said they wanted to start hosting Champions
would
League
be
games in the United
fantastic.
States.
But honestly, it's not gonna be. It can't be a semifinal. Can't be a round of 16 knockout round
Yes.
game. So it has to be a final.
It could be a final, yes, to be honest, yeah.
Why can't it be a group stage game?
Because then,
Oh,
home
Then
and away.
someone has to. It could
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
but then people are gonna surrender their home game to go play in America.
But
Or
also,
both teams could-
Also, there are so many home club teams here. Like when Crystal Palace and Sevilla were here, it was 100% a Crystal Palace game.
Yeah. Well, but
it's different.
yeah.
But it's kinda
You-
weird.
That's what I'm
right,
saying.
It could be a
Like,
final.
You can't really make it.
Fans.
It's going to be a final, if anything, because that's also where the money is too. Like,
it's
you know how much
tough,
more
though.
money they could charge for those games?
yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
you they'll wait and see how the World
Yeah,
Cup
money
goes.
talks.
It's just kind of
Copa
weird because it's
America
the
World Cup
so
it's
much.
the European Champions
that's
League,
what
and they're
I
going to
said.
host it in the United States. We actually have a Champions League of our own,
Yeah.
but so it's just a bit weird for me that they're going to do. It's like the Copa,
Unless they stack
It's-
them.
It's going to continue to come. Everything, I think, in soccer is going to start coming to the United States because there's just an untapped market for them.
I agree with that.
I agree.
It's-
It's like when boxing started going to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
All of
Yeah.
now they have like boxing events in Saudi Arabia all the
All the
time,
time,
UFC,
yeah.
all of that. because there's so much more money. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how in Saudi Arabia those guys
John
can just
McGinn
guarantee
assist.
they can guarantee everyone gets each fighter gets $50 million, whereas in the United States they can't guarantee that.
That's crazy.
That's
So-
the wrong side.
All right, let's move on from the Super League. The next one, which is interesting because this is the VAR room segment. VAR and La Liga have announced that they are going to
Yeah.
start broadcasting the conversation
Yeah.
and images from VAR checks. In the
They've
game.
been
So
listening
they-
to us.
They
Finally.
heard me on the
They
podcast.
heard the podcast.
I heard. I think they. You didn't read the other comment under it. They're also reaching out to Coach Javi to come ref a game.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in talks. We're in
in
talks. We're in talks.
Chill, guy.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is fantastic because we talk
live
so
on
much
planet
shit about VAR and how broken it is, and it's getting to the point I think they realize where it's like, okay, we either do something that creates a more of a sense of secure or more of a sense of comfort with VAR, or we do have to start thinking about scrapping it. If we start scrapping it, or if we start thinking about scrapping it, we're admitting to a huge mistake.
Sure.
So we're never going to do that because they never want to do that.
Yeah.
So everyone's been saying it. They should start just being a little bit more open and more transparent with what's going on. So now La Liga is going to test it. And actually, when they go to VAR, the referees are going to be the people in the stadium and in the broadcast. I don't know if in the stadium, but for sure in the broadcast.
I don't think they'll do it in the stadium.
I thought they just said they're going to announce it. Like they're going to do it later. Like they're going to release the whole transcript of like what was talked about.
No. It's supposed to be like
Like live
live.
during game.
So like
Oh, nice.
Australia
I didn't
does
hear
it. Like Australia
Yeah.
talk.
Where you
they
can
talk
hear them.
to it.
Like how the announcers can hear them now.
Yeah, they're already
Yeah.
doing it with a
Now-
lot of them are wearing video cams. Like
Body cams?
The police are doing it. Body
Yeah.
cams.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you notice, the broadcasters get decisions before we get them.
Yeah,
Because you'll see them say like, oh, and this goal is going to be ruled off that it's offsides or whatever, and then 2 seconds later the referee says it. So they're getting the information before we are. So now we're supposed to be getting all of that information at the same time. The thing that I think is great about it is that a lot of the VAR controversy isn't necessarily from the referees getting the calls wrong. A lot of it is from the fact that we don't know how the referees came to that decision. So it leaves it open to interpretation, which
Because if they walked you
It's
through
controversial.
if we heard their thought process of well, this, then that, then this, and that, even if you disagreed with the decision, you can understand how they.
yeah.
This should
Came
have
to that
never
conclusion.
gotten this far because of this.
Like the Liverpool goal, like if we would have all heard that live, as much as we would have been pissed, it would have made sense because like, oh, they got the call wrong because the people in the booth thought it was a different
Right.
call in the field.
But even then, like
It was bizarre.
you'll
True.
you guys know
Don't
that
get
the
him started.
average supporter, the average person does not know a lot of the intricacies of the rules. So if the referees, when they're doing the VAR, they can explain the actual rule, how it's written, and why that decision is being made. Sometimes people are just like, "Oh, that's the wrong decision," but then when you explain the rule to them, you're like, "Okay, that might be a stupid rule, but at least that's the rule, and that's why they came to
Yeah.
that decision." So they should be rolling that around soon, which would mean that it's probably in good time for the World Cup for that to be implemented completely if it goes well.
Oh, it has to be.
And
Yeah.
it has to be for the World
so
Cup.
when the World Cup comes here, they're playing by our rules.
It's true.
Like 100%.
Yeah, and there's a lot of American owners now who have. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good call. I don't. Yeah.
100%. They are playing by our rules. So when they come here, they're going to be using like the systems that we've used at the PRO and the systems that we've used throughout the La Liga and everything else, where these referees know one game, and they're going to be using those same calls, if you will. While it has everything to do with FIFA, the PRO system rules here, and they're going to be using the same referees because most of them are FIFA qualified.
Yeah.
But we have all the same technology.
we can agree that that's going to be good though for the
VR.
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
100%
More
agree.
transparency.
It's
100%.
'Cause right
As
now
it
the-
should be, though.
Right now, the only thing we're getting is the transcripts sometimes afterwards.
Even when they're wrong.
yeah.
we're getting
then a
them
letter and an
sometimes.
apology
And then
at
a
the end of the
letter of
weekend.
apology.
Oh, sorry, we
Sorry.
messed up on this.
They also need
Ish.
to have
Only
some
cost you 3
Might
points.
have messed up on it.
they also need to have some sort of consequences for because now like you can do one apology every couple years, right? That's fair.
Well, a player has to get fined $20,000, $25,000 to mess up. Where's the referee's apology for the whole game being messed up?
Yeah.
So
I
they
mean-
need to do something else because now clubs are no longer accepting the apologies.
Well, we had like 10.
Yeah, that's why.
Half the season.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's every other week.
chill.
There's one every
Live
weekend.
VAR pool.
Live.
Listen, we're getting screwed the
We're
most.
going
anyway.
back. Oh, yeah, but we're going back years, man.
Georgie's
Yeah.
got some good facts that he got from the Liverpool fan page. All right, about how Liverpool keeps screwing or VAR keeps screwing over Liverpool.
I mean, are we talking about the handball?
Wait, I will. Can I say? I will say
No.
it is weird. Not weird, but like Arsenal and Liverpool obviously played on the 23rd. Great game, by the
Never
way.
seen it.
And then all of a sudden now Liverpool plays today, Tuesday. Arsenal plays when?
Thursday. Yeah. I mean, you would have to beg the question. You stood up for us when we had to play 3 days later.
You guys Man United?
It is wild that you guys had to play 3 days later, opposed like. And then I could understand if Arsenal was
and
tomorrow
Jurgen Klopp
or
was
today.
the first one that said it.
But we're
I
on
sent it
Thursday,
to
yeah.
him. Jurgen Klopp stood up for us. It's like, yeah, we both played on Wednesday. West Ham's playing on Saturday, first game of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we're playing later the next day. Like,
I wonder how that's such a complicated process to do the
it's
scheduling.
not. It's not.
It is because you also have to
No,
factor in. You have
no.
to factor in.
There are algorithms that can sort this out better than any human mind.
Well, yeah, but that's still well, he's just saying it's a difficult thing. It's so much, and then then after you make the decisions on where everyone plays, then all the clubs have to go figure out all the travel. Like
Sure,
logistically, it's a freaking nightmare.
Logistically,
But-
we're not talking about logistics. I mean, City didn't play their game against who was it? Bournemouth or somebody
Because
prior
Because of the Club World Cup.
because of
and we had to do it.
that's what
Liverpool
I'm saying.
had to do it.
Do you have
Yeah.
to do it, or is it
Well,
like the club choosing?
It was the same
like,
thing
you have to.
against.
You do?
It was the same thing in COVID. One single player tests positive, all of a sudden,
Certain teams,
nobody
yeah.
has to play that week for the club until all the test results comes back.
I just think that when you think about everything that's actually included in what you have to factor in for the scheduling, it's not that simple. Like you can't just say like, okay, each team has to play against each other this many times, because then you also have to take each individual competition. You have to take the Champions League, you have to take the Europa League, you have to take the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and then on top of that, you also have to factor in the international break and the international games.
Sure.
So when you think about all of that, you're getting to the point where it's almost like each individual player. You also have to think about like this player plays in the African Cup of Nations. So how do we factor in the African Cup of Nations? That kind of thing. And how does the scheduling work? And who's in charge of all that? Because there's 4 or 5 different organizations that are in charge of their own scheduling. How do they work together in order for that to happen? So I don't think Liverpool is purposely I don't think there's a thing, where we're just going to screw Liverpool every chance we get.
I also
But I
agree
do
with
think at the end of it, there's got to be one team that gets screwed more than the others. I don't think they can do it in a way that's fair.
Which would
And
be
unfortunately,
fair
there's
if
Liverpool.
it was consistent.
But that's what I'm saying. It can't be.
Yeah.
Because at some
I bet
point,
you there's
at
some
point,
teams
one
that
team's gonna
are
get screwed.
slightly more protected than other ones, where they are like they might not look out and say, "Hey, we're going to try and screw over Liverpool," but they might not be looking at it and saying, "Ooh, let's protect Liverpool." If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
so
Like
like-
I don't think they outwardly go after certain teams, but I do think that there are certain teams and certain clubs that are more looked after and tried to be protected.
The
and
original
put into,
top 4.
Yeah,
In
that's
theory,
100%.
in theory.
Yeah, like put into
I think
games
Tottenham's
like
the only
this,
one
later
that's
games.
dropped out of that like they're now replacing with a Man City.
Yeah, Tottenham's terrible.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, fuck Tottenham.
Exactly.
Sorry, pardon my language.
Let's finish up with the fun facts.
Fun fact.
All right,
Love
fun
that.
fact.
I had one because VAR room was things that we saw, right?
Yeah.
I did have one. If you guys, I don't know if anyone's seen it or not. What are your guys' thoughts if you've seen it?
The handball.
No. On Neymar's rehab
Oh yeah,
on
Oh, yeah.
his knee in Saudi Arabia. Have you guys seen those clips and those
Yeah.
videos? It's freaky, man.
Painful.
it's interesting.
like-
Well, that's scar
What are they doing?
tissue, though, isn't it?
Are they like
Trying to get the
extending-
mobility back.
Are they
Yeah.
extending his leg? Is that what it is? And he just doesn't have the mobility yet?
Yeah, because the scar tissue, right after you do it, you don't have the mobility yet. So they usually do it months and months and months, and
They're
you do
doing
it
it all
slow
so
and
fast.
you massage it out, and you do all that through physical therapy. But these guys are going.
They're like
Well-
a scraper normally, like
Yeah.
the metal scrapers. Like
Yeah.
I've
Here's
had
the
those
thing.
on my ankle and stuff.
I
That
remember.
was-
I remember in college when I was in college taking a
yeah,
class,
yeah.
freshman year. My professor, we were talking about RG3. Do you guys remember RG3?
Yeah.
The
player.
quarterback.
100%.
He tore his ACL at the beginning, didn't he? So these guys are looking at the video clip of the Neymar just being. If you guys haven't seen it,
And they're holding him
we'll
back.
find a way to link
Yeah.
it somewhere.
Watch this guy go crank out.
But they just extended his like leg, and he looks like he's in a lot of pain through his ACL rehab. Yeah, that sounds painful. Put it up to the microphone, Joe, so they can hear the. Dude sounds like he's getting killed.
No, I think he's just
So anyway-
saying, God bless the Queen. Or
I
something.
remember. No, but I remember in
stuff,
college, my professor told me when RG3 got tore his ACL or whatever, he's like, oh yeah, he's like they don't come back from those. You don't come back from an ACL injury. That was back in the day because that was
Yeah.
back in the
Well,
day
'cause
before
now you do it every
now
day.
you do. Now it's like 5-6 months, and
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are like,
Look at Aaron
almost
Rodgers.
close.
Dude,
Like,
don't.
it was the same damn
we can.
thing.
Aaron Rodgers came from a ruptured Achilles and he's back to practicing 79 days.
crazy.
Well,
That's
he was
insane.
walking in 2 weeks, which is more bizarre than anything that I've ever seen.
ACL specifically, the reconstruction surgery for ACLs have gotten so much better than they did in the past. And before it was like, even if they do come back, they're not going to be the same player that they were before. Now it's totally normal injury for you to come back from,
long as you
especially
don't
if the
rip it
right
again,
doctors. So I wonder. I hope he's got the right doctors. 'Cause if he's
Yeah,
going to be in
man.
that much pain and then not going to be able to come back.
I would assume he has the right doctors.
And they all have you know what's crazy? They all have the same doctors too. Maybe not
Yeah.
the exact same,
Yeah,
but
for
if
the
you
most
go to
part.
the,
You
like,
don't
the
think
number
there's
one
another-
There's
doctor,
like 2 to
doing
3.
all
There's
of
2
them
to
and
3
be
that
like,
do
shit.
all the knees in most
Yeah.
of these leagues. Yeah.
it's crazy.
Like Reece James, just for his hamstring, because he continues to get injured, he just flew up to Finland to go see a hamstring surgeon, and
Yeah,
they
that's the same guy
They
that
literally
did
just
Kobe
put in 2
surgery
new
back in the day.
bands.
is it that did
Yeah,
his
back home.
Achilles,
Okay, yeah,
Achilles,
all of them.
Kobe's Achilles.
Yeah, the guy in Finland. He does everybody's.
Like that's crazy. It's the human body's nuts.
It is nowadays with
nuts.
technology and all the, which is good for the players because we were talking about this on the last podcast. Is cardiac arrests before cardiac arrests? If you were lucky enough to survive, there was no chance you were going to come back. And now they have enough testing to put in place to say, okay, now you can come back
Yeah,
as long as
games.
everything is good.
Do you think that's conspiracy? I guess I don't know if it's a conspiracy or not, but in Italy, if you have like Ericsson can't play in Italy because he has a pacemaker. But then it what's the right thing? Should you not be allowed to play, or should it be up to the player's discretion?
I think it should be up to players' discretion.
Yeah.
100%.
I disagree.
You think it should be on the league makes a call and says like it's
Like we don't
The
want
league-
this liability because
Well,
he
yeah,
signed
because-
a waiver.
Right.
Had to have.
Yeah, but it
You also
still
don't
makes
want
the league.
someone
It
dying
still
on the
makes the
field.
look.
You don't want somebody dying on the
Exactly.
field. No.
Because
But that's a PR
We talked,
stunt.
but we talked about Lockyer. He had it.
Yeah,
he
it's
did
happened twice
once.
now.
So now it's twice. So now
Now
people are
within a
going to be
year.
like, how,
Within a year.
yeah.
the media attention that you're going to get. How could you let him play after that
third
happened
time,
or
right.
whatever?
Yep.
Even though they can probably, I guarantee Italy will admit that there's enough testing that sure we can let people play. However, if it does happen, we're going to look really, really bad, regardless of whatever
Yeah.
the player
Sure.
was. And every single player is going to
But
want
it's
to come
not.
back and play.
It's not the league's decision. I think that it should be a person by person. Same thing that we shouldn't like charge everybody just to play the game. Yeah, well,
That's a whole nother
Ooh,
podcast.
don't get so- that's a-
whole
no, I know.
That's
but,
a podcast in its own right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, surgeries and the rehab has come a long way. I mean, you look at people like Ronaldo who have been able to play until they decide they want to retire.
Yeah.
But he's a
Zlatan.
specimen, and we've talked about that.
But there's more and more specimens coming along, though. That's what you've noticed. Like Buffon. Buffon is however many
Yeah.
years old, and he was still
He's
playing.
73, I think,
Zlatan,
now.
Zlatan, same thing. Zlatan's was in his 40s before he retired, right?
I'm excited to see
Crazy.
someone like a Haaland though, because you combine a mixture of like the mentality. Because Ronaldo to me has the mentality of being so disciplined.
Sure.
But now, number one, you can look at people like Ronaldo. You can look at people like Tom Brady who did it for so long. So there's like a blueprint. But those guys were really some of the first people who took into account their body from the beginning.
Right.
LeBron is another prime example that now that these young kids, like I wonder how clean Haaland's been eating and for how long. You know what I mean? Like imagine if these kids start eating clean from 10.
Actual
How
vegetables
long
instead of
how
the
long can they go?
processed stuff.
Can they play into their late 30s, 40s, late 40s? Like there's going to be some of these people
Yeah.
who do that and it's going to be absolutely
Think about-
insane.
Ronaldo's son.
Yeah.
Ronaldo says he's like, I'm telling my
Oh,
son how he needs
Ronaldo's
to eat a
son.
certain way. But like Ronaldo's son already, he's got the best mentor in terms of diet
Yeah.
Yeah.
and nutritional preparation because his dad has already done it.
Yep.
So like Joe said, some of these imagine now they're starting even younger with the proper nutrition. How long are they
How long
able
can
to
they
go?
man? They're
And
going to be playing at 80,
All right.
85 years old.
Let's finish up with the fun facts. All right, let's. So, I found this on the internet, which, as usual, I don't really fact check things. My fact check is Wikipedia. So if Wikipedia
Your
has it
fact check
wrong,
is
I'm wrong. I'm so sorry.
Perfect.
TikTok comments.
All
That's
right.
what is gonna fact check you.
Here's the
biggest-
question. See if anybody can get it. It's a multiple part question. All right. Which individual, all right, has scored the most goals in a single match in international play against two, and how many goals? I was gonna do like club level, but club level there's like 6 people tied for
So-
it because it's not.
wait,
Is
that
this
much.
someone we all know?
No,
Against.
No.
What'd you say against?
Are we going to know the name of the person?
maybe,
So probably not.
probably not.
Name.
Who
You're
has
the
scored the
freaking man.
most goals in a single match in international play against who, and how many goals?
And it's not a
Fuck
well-known person.
Not really.
What league did?
Because you got to think it's also the matchup of the international team, who's playing what international
This
team.
guy's gonna
and
talk
which.
about San Marino playing against somebody else. and
No,
that's what
it's
No, it's not international.
it is.
Close.
It's somebody
Close.
against San Marino.
Not San Marino. The other one.
San
Gibraltar.
Marino.
No. The one that you mentioned that you thought it was last time.
That
Faroe Islands.
no, fair. That's a decent actually. The
The movie.
the next goal wins. What
Oh, I haven't
team was
seen
that?
that yet.
what team are they? I don't know.
I think
The
Madagascar
island.
or
What
some
island?
So I'll tell you the teams. I'll tell you the teams. I'll tell you the teams. So I'll start giving you some hints, or I'll start giving it away. So it was Australia versus the American Samoa
Tim Cahill.
during the
that's what I was
2002 FIFA World Cup qualification.
Yeah, it has to be Cahill.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Whoa. Viduka.
Nope.
Hercule.
They
Is
won.
it a female?
So listen, they won 31-0. All
I
right.
think I heard about that.
31-0.
What?
And this person scored. I don't want to give that away yet. Just guess the number of how many goals in a 31-0 win.
13 goals.
Yes, that is
Wow.
correct. 13 goals scored in a 31-0 victory during the 2002 FIFA World Cup qualification
Did I kind of getting the question right?
between
Put
Australia
me on
and
the board.
American Samoa.
Can you pass me the scoreboard, please?
I don't know if you guys know this guy. That's the thing.
What the, I mean, I have no idea. What,
I have no
All right,
idea.
I'm going to give it away. Or I'm going to tell you. It's Archie Thompson.
I would have never
Never
guessed
guessed that.
You would never guess that. So Archie
How the
Thompson
hell does
scored.
that guy score? Viduka doesn't score. Hercule doesn't score, and Tim Cahill doesn't score.
They left
Well,
him on.
so
They
here's the
probably
thing.
don't-
They probably
don't.
don't.
So
Those that probably
David
didn't go to that game.
David Zdrillik, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, scored 8 goals in that game. But the other guy scored 13.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So they probably
Georgie,
play.
that's Georgie on the Monday Night League. Man
That-
United with a comeback win, man. Impressive. You
Well done for Georgie.
2-0, man. 2-0
money on
away.
that
It's
game.
not a.
And-
Lunch is paid for.
and I put
Lunch is paid for.
I put $5 on the tie, but it didn't work out.
All right. Well, Thomas took a little pee break right when we were going to end the podcast here.
He's like, all right, I'm out.
Thomas doesn't want to say his goodbye. So, hold on. We'll just wait. I guess we'll just wait for Thomas. Kind of feel bad saying bye, and then Thomas is. Let us know in the comment section below if Thomas should get an invite back, because if not, I mean the jury's still up on YouTube. By the way, you guys are still on trial right now.
Listen,
with the podcast.
We're still on trial?
You're still
Listen.
on trial. I can't be on trial because this doesn't work.
Listen, if you won't get,
Can you guys imagine? Hold on. Can you imagine if I was on trial and you guys were like, "You're not part of the podcast," but you guys had to come here to set up the stuff and record the podcast?
listen, this is a new setup. This is the first time we're doing this.
And it looks really good because what we did is we moved the couch away from the background, so you'll see in the video the background's a little bit blurry, so it gives us like a really nice depth of field, so it looks a little bit
better
more
on us.
professional. Yeah.
Nice.
Otherwise, then we're just like against the flat background.
They're not gonna know where I'm at, but I'm at a different spot.
We have Georgie. Georgie's downstairs in the other room, so we're actually like
I'm on the-
talking on 2
This is
separate
a Zoom
floors.
call.
I'm
and
on the opposite
pretending.
side of the room here.
Yeah.
Like usually I'm on that side with everybody. Now I'm on the opposite
Every
side.
week we try and make this a little bit better.
But now it's perfect because I'm gonna bring my TV.
Yeah, and
We're
then you
gonna
can
put
watch
it
the
up.
games right here.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, we're finishing
Do you
up
want
this
my
podcast.
other one?
Come on
I have
over
to
here.
get rid of one of mine. It has a line on it. And I can't. I can use it, but it's not perfect.
Sure.
You want it? All right, I'll bring it over.
We just need a TV here so that we can also get someone. We could get another one. That way
There we go.
we can watch multiple games going on at the same time. So right now I have we're gonna end this podcast before we get into all this technical
Yeah.
talk. But yeah, so thank you all for joining us. Thomas, any final words on your last episode ever of the Next Goal Wins podcast?
It's been great. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for enduring the West Ham talk. I wish there was more of it, and I wish it was more successful.
Nobody wishes there was more of it.
Yeah, no one wishes that.
David
but
Moyes definitely.
We might
definitely
have.
wish more.
Right. David Moyes out is now trending.
Wait. Speaking about David Moyes,
GSB out.
didn't we at DCFC have a relative of Moyes at DCFC? We did.
Yeah,
Remember?
Harvey
Moyes.
came and played for DCFC for a little bit.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
He was a good player. He was a good lad.
He was a
Good
good
lad.
lad.
Another quick fun fact is that had VRL not gone as far as they did in the Champions League, Was it Champions League or Europa League?
Europa League. They
Europa
lost
League?
in the final.
Had they not gotten
a year or
that
two
far,
ago.
VRL was going to play against DCFC that year.
Oh, really?
So they had already agreed on everything.
So
they were just
that
saying
summer.
Yeah, so they had agreed on everything. They were just like, well, as soon as we get knocked out,
We'll
come.
play.
we'll finalize the date just to make sure. And then because they just kept going,
was
Made the
that?
final.
eventually they could not
year was
figure out
that?
a date. 2021.
Is that the
Okay.
year?
Is
That's
it
the year
last-
Mourinho won. I think Mourinho beat him in the final. I think.
So,
I don't
but
remember.
Unai Emery was going to come to Keyworth Stadium to play against DCFC,
That'd been cool.
Wow.
and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Next time.
It's already confirmed. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Any final
Appreciate
words
it.
from you two?
Give us a follow.
The other two trialists.
Well, Joe has to do his little.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
He'll do that at the end.
Make sure you guys follow us on all social media channels, youtube.com/at the NGW podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all at the NGW podcast.
Was that D?
Happy holidays,
NGW?
everybody. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone's staying safe and enjoying time with family.
Well, that follow the link below.
Yeah.
Javi's gonna mess something up.
Georgie, anything?
Nope.
All right. All right. Thank you. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.